Do you have a list of?
Yeah, I wrote things down.
Cool.
And I know obviously with our work, it's like all health and fitness, but
You said you have other questions.
I was like, I feel like it'll be better to talk about like, we can talk about fitness obviously, but I feel like it'd be more fun to talk about like everyday normal stuff that's not exactly fitness.
Okay.
Did you? You probably write things down on your phone. Okay.
That's okay. No.
First thing, I feel like social media is always a fun thing to talk about.
Okay.
So I've noticed with your social media, you've stopped sharing stuff with your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why? What did I write? Why is it a danger? Like, is it to?
Yeah. So just with like the progression of technology, seeing people like take photos and videos of like other people's kids and like changing them, obviously, kind of just like creeped me out a little bit. And then also I felt more comfortable sharing the girls when they were younger because I knew they were going to change like visually a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But now that like, especially my oldest, Rory, she's like going to be 4 in September. She has a lot more like noticeable features. And I was kind of like, there were a couple of times where I would be in public and someone would recognize like her before me and be like, oh, hey, Rory, like just like bringing stuff up from like day to day, like things that they've seen me share over and stuff. And it wasn't like creepy. Like I knew the person and like it wasn't weird, but I was just kind of like,
who else can?
Yeah, like it kind of just sat weird with me because I was like, I know that you're fine, but I have a public page. Anybody can go to my page. And like, I also don't have like a ton of followers, so I'm not like thinking that like something crazy is gonna happen. But I just think like as they get a bit older, like protecting that is kind of like my job. And also having their permission for stuff too, right?
Yeah. Do you think if like, because I've seen like, I follow like a few couples on like YouTube and stuff like that, and they kind of have like the same viewpoint. They're just like, I'm not. They say that it's like it's not fair to them, like it's not fair to the kid because they've never gotten their permission to like post about their own personal life.
Yeah,
and I get that. I understand that. Do you think it'd be different? Because the couple that I follow, they also talked about this. Yeah. They have a son, and so they were saying that like if they had a daughter, I feel like they'd be even more like not wanting to share their daughter because obviously, for obvious reasons. Yeah. Do you think if you had a son, it would still be the same?
It might be different. Yeah. To be honest, I've just seen a lot of like pages where influencers post their kids all the time, like doing whatever, and then people would kind of bring up like if you go to your following list, like the majority of your following is like old guys with like
especially
private
like
pages,
like female influencers.
Yeah, and like posting your kids obviously wearing like I've seen pages of people being like, oh, like I worked for the FBI or whatever, and like don't post your kids like in swimsuits, like don't post them like eating food because like it's like people are weird.
That's like a fetish.
Yeah,
that is so.
Yeah.
See, that's so weird.
And like when you post it on social media, it's there forever, like forever. And I don't know. I've also seen parents kind of like joke with their kids. Like, do you remember the egg cracking?
Yeah, I know. I remember you brought this up with me once.
Like, that just did not settle with me at all. Like, I don't think it's funny to, like, monetize, like, awkward making fun of your kids or, like, putting them in a position where, like, they are kind of being, like, mocked or made fun of. Like, I've never dated my girls, but, like, when they're older, like, I wouldn't want them to, like, look back on my page and be like, I wish you had posted all these pictures of me, like, blah, blah, or whatever. So, I don't know. My opinion on it has definitely changed. Like, even last year, I was, like, fully posting the girls and everything. And then I just realized it was kind of, like, a quick, like, easy for me not to. Yeah. And I also don't mind, like, if I have a friend post a picture of them, like, I don't mind. Yeah. I just don't want it to be, like, a constant, like, every day they're on my story.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think it's just like one of those things you don't really think about until you do think about it, right? Like you thought about it and you're like, it's easy for me to just not share them as much.
It only takes you hearing like one weird story as a parent for you to be like, oh my gosh. Like, but what do you think?
Yeah.
Could your kids one day will share them?
Yeah, but like to me, like again, it's like I hadn't really thought about that kind of stuff. Like I don't think about like what other people are potentially doing with even like like I thought about this actually for myself. Like there's photos of me in my underwear all over the internet, like in my in my posing trunks, and I'm like like anybody could get a hold of these and just do whatever they want with them.
Yeah.
But that's me personally. Like I doesn't affect me. Like be creepy, be whatever. I don't care about me. But yeah, if it was my child, then it's a different story.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, it's something I noticed that you were doing. So there's obviously reason behind it. And I'm like, yeah, it's clearly to like try to protect them and like make sure that everyone's safe. But
if they get to like a certain age where they're like, I want to be like on your story or whatever, then I think that that's more like them giving permission, like when they're a little bit older.
Yeah.
But I just think for now, like, because I share my day to day, like I share like morning to night typically on my story. And I think they're like, maybe they don't want to be in my story like all day.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, that's fair. So do you think that? So I don't know if you and Chris have talked about this, but when are they going to get access to the internet?
I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
they're so young.
They are, but like kids these days are like begging their parents for phones when they're like 7, 8. And I used to always think of it as like a safety thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, of course, I want my girls to have phones so that they could call me at any time if they need anything. But then it's like I don't want them to have their phones to like do everything else.
Yeah.
I think like it's scary when kids that young, well, I'm talking like 10, 11, 12, have access to social media at such a young age when like their brains aren't fully developed and they can't like comprehend what they're viewing or being able to discern between like good content taken and stuff that's like impacting them negatively or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like, yeah, like what you said, it's like a safety thing, it's a communication thing, just being able to like get a hold of them. But like it can take like one click of a link to take them down one road, down another. It's like
100%.
they can end up looking at things that like they didn't even know existed or like were even out there. Yeah, I was listening to Mind Pump and they were talking about how like the one guy got his son just like walkie-talkies.
Yeah.
So that like when they go and play with their friends, they just like walkie-talkie, like high-powered, high-frequency walkie-talkies. Yeah. So instead of having a phone that has access to the internet and all that stuff, it's like it's literally just for the communication thing, communication.
Should have kept my old flip phone to give you.
I know. And like, I might start going in reverse here with kids. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
They're also like, I think schools need to tighten up the restrictions with phones because when I went to school, like we weren't allowed to bring our phones.
Yeah, are kids allowed to just like be on phones?
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that some parents have said like, I want my kids to have a phone because I want them to be able to like contact me. But it's like, if they're at school and they need to contact you, they could like tell the teacher or whatever. I don't think that they need to have access to their phone like in the middle of the day in class or whatever.
No, it's more for the parents to know that they can get a hold of their kids rather than the kids trying to get a hold of the parents. Yeah. This was also another topic that I talked to my buddy about too. And I thought, obviously, we're not parents, so it's like it doesn't matter what we really think. But asking you, obviously, parents don't want their kids to like be like stuck up or like snobby or entitled or anything. So like, have you, Chris, talked about like implementing like adversity into their life in one way or another? Like, obviously, like not giving them everything they want, but obviously making sure that they're cared for and like they don't need to like worry about things. But
it's tough.
But like you don't want them to be spoiled and stuff.
Yeah, it's tough because I'm a shopper. I like buying them stuff. Like it's really like fun. But definitely, like, my oldest, she's getting to the age now where it's like, let's buy this, like, let's buy that. Whenever we go into town, she will bring up, like, going to the store and getting this or whatever. And it's hard to explain to a 3-year-old that, like, things cost money. And, like, we have to work to have money to buy them things. But I definitely think, like, Chris and I have just talked about, like, how we grew up. And how our parents model, like, adversity and like having a work ethic and stuff because they definitely did. Like we both work hard for like what we earn and what we buy and like we want to instill that into the girls. So I definitely think so just as they get older. like doing reward systems at home.
Mm-hmm.
I think I see a lot of parents whose kids are a bit older doing that. Like stickers, if you get a certain amount of stickers for like doing chores, you get like a reward at the end of it or something like that. Because I think that teaches like strong work ethic, and then also just like you don't get everything that you want all the time.
Yeah.
Which is like a tough to learn. It is tough. I remember being a kid and wanting like certain things for Christmas that like my friends and stuff, and I wouldn't get them.
Yeah.
It would just like crush me. But looking back on it now, it's like, yeah, like I learned a lot through that.
Yeah, but it's also like you obviously want to give her whatever she wants. Like you want to, but like it's like that there's some like lessons to be learned. Like you said, like you gotta work for things, you gotta earn your money. Like things just don't come your way.
Like we work hard so that we can provide for like our family. But I think that like having that work ethic and drive, like it's something that needs to be learned as well. So I don't know, we'll see.
It's something you need to learn for sure. Because I remember growing up too. It's just like we had like we had one car for the family because my mom didn't drive. So then my dad would go to work, and then like I'd be left to like get myself around. Like I'd have to take the bus to like my volleyball tournaments, games, like work. I'd walk everywhere. And it's just kind of like, it's like you have to like learn how to, like, you have to like learn how to work hard and like learn how to like earn whatever it is that you want to go after. But
what age did you start getting your first job?
14. I was in grade 9. Yeah. Taco time.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was 13, which I don't think you can start working legally at 13.
Yeah, 14 went in Alberta. Yeah,
I think it was 14. But one of my best friends, her parents owned like a resort in the small town that we grew up in, and they had a restaurant portion of it. So we actually started working in like this tiny little like ice cream shop, and so like charter buses would come in and we would work and like sell them ice cream.
Yeah.
And so I was 13, and that's where I got a taste of like having my own money.
Yeah.
And I think that was like such a driving factor because I was like, I can buy whatever I want.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not asking my parents if I can have this or have that. But I also learned through that like the importance of saving as well. So like I started saving money when I was 13.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that like that is important when you're younger to have that experience.
Yeah, that is good. I remember, my parents weren't good with like saving because they didn't save, and I knew they didn't save. I remember like just being as a kid, like I don't know, we were one of those families that like just didn't talk about money.
Yeah.
Because like I don't know, it was just one of those things. But it's obviously super important to like learn about it and talk about it.
Yeah.
And like I learned about money through like my friends. Like we would have like group chats. Like years ago when we were talking about like learning to invest and like TFSAs and stuff.
Yeah.
And like all my buddies would be like, "Oh yeah, I've been doing this for like 5 years." I'm like, "Well, I just like I don't know. Like this wasn't a thing growing up for me." So then learning all that stuff too, just like at an older age, taught me. I'm like, okay, well, I need to like know this stuff so that like later on when I have kids, that they already think that this is just like a thing to do. Like everyone should be doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like you don't really realize until you're an adult how you were brought up and kind of like what your parents did or your friends, like how it shaped how you act and stuff now, which like makes me so much more aware with the girls. Because I always remember like one thing is my mom and dad, like they kept their separate bank accounts and then they had like a joint account.
Yeah.
And my mom would always like buy me stuff or like go do something fun or that like she knew my dad wouldn't be like into, but like with her account.
Yeah.
And so like with Chris and I'm like, I don't want to combine our accounts.
Yeah.
I want to be able to do what I want to do without you like looking at my bank statement every month and being like, did you go to Starbucks today or whatever? So
that's fair. Yeah, like I've been listening to the Dave Ramsey guy. He's like the big money guy, and he's super like you need to combine bank accounts. Like you're one family, you're together, you do this life thing together. And I understand the idea and sentiment behind it, but then like you said, it's like I feel like sometimes in relationships, like I know I do it for sure with Logan. Like when she spends money, I'm like I bite my tongue, but I'm like I'm passing judgment in my head. I'm like, really? Did you need to
Yeah.
You didn't need to do that. But then there's things that I do that she can definitely judge me on,
Yeah.
right? And she's like, really? Did you have to
Exactly.
buy that or whatever?
Yeah.
So it's weird. It's kind of like, I don't know. I think it's just as you get older and as you grow older together and wiser together, those things will start to change. But I think we're so young right now.
Yeah.
I think we still have like that, I don't know, that selfish component to us, I think.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But like I know like as you get older, like everyone says, like as you get older, the materialistic stuff doesn't matter. And like I think we know that.
Yeah.
But we know that. Like right now we're like,
Yeah.
we want to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's weird. I feel like we're good at delaying gratification with a lot of things, but then some things we're like,
Yeah.
no,
I save money in some places so that I can spend it in other places.
Yeah, yeah.
But like, I don't know. The way I look at it with finances is as long as you're paying your bills,
Yeah.
you know, me going to Starbucks.
Yeah.
Free 5 times.
Yeah. As long as you're saving money, and as long as you're paying your bills, and as long as you're not being like an idiot, then I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. With Dave Ramsey, he's very like extremist with a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Like again, I get it, I understand, I appreciate that, but like, yeah, he's also like really big on like no credit cards.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's like no credit cards. No.
Just for debt?
Yeah, he's very like no debt, no nothing. Like don't ever take on debt. Like everything with cash, never take on debt.
Yeah.
And again, I get it because most people are not good with credit cards, right?
Yeah.
People rack up their credit cards and can't pay it off, right? I don't know what the statistic is, but like lots of people, like so much credit card debt.
Yeah.
And I get it, but then there's people who can actually pay it off and, you know, collect the points.
I was just gonna say use their points to fly or
Yeah,
a trip
I know.
or whatever. Like that's why I
get like they have all the arguments, right? They can rebuttal, they can argument all, like they've heard all the arguments, and I get it. Like I totally understand it. And I guess the study is that you spend like 11 to 25% more on your credit card because it's not actually coming out of your bank account.
Yeah.
So psychologically, you spend more. Which again, I totally believe it. I understand it, but like I'm also collecting points. Like I have 4 flights this summer that are all paid off, both with points.
Yeah.
And I also learned another like argument that they make so that people don't use credit cards is like the way you get your points and the way you make that they cover those the money for the flights is based off of the interest that are being charged on people who owe money.
Oh yeah.
So like let's say I get charged like $10 on my overdraft fee or whatever credit card, then that $10 can be applied to you covering your flights with points. I'm like, wow,
that's crazy.
That is pretty crazy because like they're saying it's like a slimy way to like get free flights because you're preying on the people who are in debt.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it's not.
It's not your fault.
That's not my fault that they can't play the game properly. Like, yeah, I'm like,
no.
Like to each their own. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like I think like they put themselves in that position.
Yeah.
You know, it's not up to me to not take advantage of the game.
It's like a slippery slope though. With
Yeah.
credit cards. Like my mom, well, kind of same thing going back to our credits. Like my mom pays off her Visa like as soon as she makes a purchase.
Yeah.
Like it's not even like I pay my Visa off like once a month. It's like she'll buy something and like that day she's like paying it back on her Visa. So that's where I learned to like pay my Visa off so that I don't like have the big bills or whatever. But it can be slippery because I think that banks like to take advantage of people too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And they'll try to sell you a different credit card or get you to upgrade to this one or try to sell you on this one having like better benefits or whatever. And it's easy for people to spend more than their means, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I get it again. Like I totally understand their philosophy around it. And I like, so like some things I'm like, I totally support that. I'm going to do that. And then other things I'm like, it doesn't like, I'm fine. I don't need to do that. Yeah. But yeah, it is a slippery slope. I'm kind of the same as your mom. Like I do it like every couple days. Yeah. Yeah. Like I open up my bank account probably like every couple days or so and then just pay it off. Yeah. But yeah, it's super easy. Like I worked like a few years ago. I remember seeing like 10 grand on my credit card once. And I'm like, okay, like I need to like, I probably shouldn't let that.
You learn.
Yeah. So, but then it's like, it's a slippery slope because it's like, I didn't need to do that. Like, why did I just let it accumulate like that?
Yeah.
It's just kind of like dumb. And then you get charged interest, and then it's just stupid.
Yeah, the interest sucks.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, obviously it's important to stay on top of that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Back to the kid thing. This is another thing I want to talk about. How do you handle what your kids will learn from like other kids? Like, I don't know if they've gone to much like other friends' houses. Again, they're still so young,
Yeah.
so they haven't like gone to like, like birthday parties as much, or like they're hanging out with their friends just with them as much, right?
Yeah.
So it's like they're obviously going to be exposed to so many things,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like you can't really
Yeah, it's tough.
stop that, right?
Even like especially at school and stuff too. When you
Yeah.
hear what other kids are saying. Like
Right.
we'll sometimes say something. I'm like, where did you learn that? And she's like, oh, from school. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay. But I don't know. I think just explaining that like people are different. People have differences.
Yeah.
Like parents, some people, how they parent is different. How they speak to one another is different. And kind of just having that like understanding that not everybody is gonna talk to each other the same or do the same. Or parent the same, but I don't plan on letting them go for sleepovers, which I think is kind of like a hot take.
Yeah. No
Yeah.
sleepovers for like
No,
all the way like until they're like
I would say until they're out of high school.
Yeah.
Like it might change.
yeah.
My only like caveat to that is if it's somebody that I know and trust, like a parent,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that they're gonna be like checking in on them and seeing what they're doing. Because I think back, like my parents were fairly strict of like who I was allowed to hang out with and like go to sleepovers with. Like they honestly were. But even then, like I would go sometimes to friends' houses and we were doing stuff that like we should not have been doing.
Yeah.
You know?
Mhm.
I don't think that anything good happens after like 10 p.m. at someone's house.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know?
Yeah,
Like if
yeah.
you're 13, 14, like are you going to bed? Is it like lights out at 10 p.m. on like a Friday night at your friend's house?
Yeah.
Like sneaking out windows,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
stealing alcohol and like stuff like that. But obviously that's when they're a little bit older. I even think when they're younger though, like again, social media and like hearing stories and stuff of things that have happened. But I don't know if you've heard about this. It was in the States where these girls were having a sleepover and the dad like spiked their like smoothies that they had before bed.
I hear about how old
Yeah.
were the kids?
They were like 7, 8.
Oh my
Like,
God.
so he like drugged them essentially. And then they went to bed and then the one girl didn't drink it, like for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why. The one little girl, and then sure enough, like an hour after they all went to bed, the dad like snuck in and was like checking every girl like to make sure that they were like asleep and out. And the one girl, she was like such a smart little girl, like acted like she was sleeping or whatever. And then as soon as he left, she actually had a phone. And she called her mom and she called 911 and they came and like arrested him. And it was like, imagine what would have happened if she would have drank.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
though, like, I don't know. It
That's
just gives me the
insane.
yeah.
And what one was that? Like recent?
It was within like the last couple of months. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
yeah, that's like yeah, I mean, yeah, my parents didn't let me sleep over either.
Right.
Well,
They didn't.
no sleep
Really?
over. Yeah.
See, like when I heard that, I kind of thought it was like a newer age thing because I thought their parents were really strict,
Yeah.
like only letting me go to certain people's houses, but if you weren't even allowed to, then
Yeah. The only times I was ever to like have a sleepover was if it was at my cousin's place.
Yeah.
Which was like obviously a family.
yeah,
But even then it wasn't like we were able to do it all the time.
yeah.
And then a couple of times friends were allowed to sleep over at my place. But I was never allowed to like sleep over anywhere else.
See, that's what I was thinking. Is I was like, people come to my house,
Yeah.
but then do you think that the parents of those kids would be like, "Are we not good enough?"
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want them to think that.
I think
I don't know.
if you're close enough with the parents,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, are you forced to like be friends with your friends' kids' parents or
Yeah.
with your kids' parents?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like if you're close enough with them, then I feel like you can probably have that conversation with them and be like, or if like you trust them enough for your kids to go sleep over there,
Yeah.
then like you're obviously fine.
Yeah.
Like if you trust them enough, but I don't know. I feel like I would like if I was a parent, I probably might get that inkling,
Yeah.
right? Being like, oh, like Like we're fine. Like we're not gonna do anything. Your
Exactly.
kid, chill out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I would probably get that feeling too. But like at the end of the day, it's your kid.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what the other parent thinks.
Yeah. I wouldn't really care like either way, but I don't know. That's kind of what I think about it. And then I also just think with like technology and social media, like I don't want the girls being at someone else's house is like on phones or having access to the internet and like doing stuff or whatever. I remember like with my friend back in the day going on like MSN.
Yeah.
And chatting with like boys that were like 6 years older than
Yeah.
us. Like, no.
Yeah. And I feel like that was like bad then, but I feel like now it's like you use so much more like virtual chat rooms and like all that shit. Like I feel like that's just so much more rampant now.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah, I see that for sure. But no, I wasn't allowed to like sleep over. I feel like my parents were pretty strict too with a lot of things. But I mean, as I get older, I'm like I get it.
Yeah.
For a lot of some things, I'm still like, what the fuck, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But a lot of it, I'm like, okay, like I get it. Like you're just trying to like protect me, or like either didn't trust me, or like didn't trust like the kids or the friends or whatever.
Yeah.
Just like trying to like, like make sure I was safe. But then I also feel like because I had so many restrictions and had so many rules, it made me rebel. Totally. And made me like, and it was like, as soon as I turned 18, it was kind of like, all right, chains off.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want. We're an adult now.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, okay.
That's the kids that you see in like college and universities going like bug walk.
Going ham. Yeah.
Because they're like, I've never had this freedom before in my whole entire life. So I don't know. That's why I think like exposure to things in like small increments is a good idea. Instead of just like letting the shades off or whatever. But I completely relate to that. Like the more that parents try and kind of like helicopter parent their kids, the more they're gonna want to rebel and kind of like go against that when they get a chance to. But
yeah, I mean, again, I don't blame them. Like it's, I think everyone ends up parenting the way that their parents parented them, and trying to like fix the mistakes that your parents made, but then you end up making mistakes that your parents didn't make. But then it's just like give and take. Yeah,
it's tough.
This is just like so out of left field. Okay. But the show Love Is Blind. Yeah. Do you think that is actual legitimate? Like, do you think that it's genuinely building a connection with someone? Because the way it works is you're in these pods, you don't actually see the person, but you talk to them, and I think they're only in there for like a week, maybe 2 weeks. Yeah. And like by like day 5, they're like, I love you so much. Like I want to, like I'm gonna propose to you, blah blah blah. And like, I don't know. It's just like I feel like they go into it a little bit biased because they know they need to like ante up the drama and like bring a lot of emotion to the show so that they can even like get screen time. Because so many people go into these shows and don't actually air on the show. Yeah. So it's like they're going into it with bias, whether they know it or not. Yeah. But then like, I don't know. I don't think the statistic is very good. I think there's only like one couple from each season that has been successful. I guess you could argue that's pretty good.
Yeah. I don't know. But I think like all shows like that are like not rigged, but like you said, like the people going into them have an understanding that like how it works. TV and how it works. And also like going on TV is like getting a taste of like fame. So they're probably thinking like if I like kind of like overdo it, overemphasize or overdo it, or like a bit more dramatic or a bit like more of my character or whatever, then I might get more airtime. Like I might get noticed by this or this, or like I don't know, depending on what their like long-term goals are. Yeah, I think there's like a chance for people to fall in love, but how like the longevity of that. Because it's kind of the same thing with like The Bachelor, like The Bachelorette. Like how many of those couples have actually stayed together? Yeah. It's always like, oh, they get engaged or they get married and then like within a year.
Yeah, they're done.
A few years. Like they're done. Yeah. Right? So I think it's like the grounds that the relationship is being built on is kind of whack. Yeah. But
I saw a thing on TikTok, I don't know if this is true or not, but they were saying like in their contract for Love Is Blind, if they end up getting married, they need to stay married for at least a year after the show. Really? Yeah.
Crazy in what?
But yeah, but I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's just some girl like speculating. I don't know if it's actually real or not. It went viral, obviously, because it's like kind of like dramatic for the show. But Yeah, I don't know. It's like they're forced to stay together for a year after.
Mhm.
But is that like just like on paper married?
Yeah.
It's like you don't need to actually live together or
No.
actually be together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was probably most genuine maybe in the first two seasons.
Yeah.
But then as you get further on, people have watched the
It's
show
more popular.
and it's more popular. Now people are like, oh, like this person got super famous from the show. Now I know how to go into this show and like gain popularity, gain like fandom, and like yeah, try to get screen time. Yeah, I don't know. That was just a random thought. I was like, I'm gonna get Claire's thoughts on this. So I
Did you watch it?
yeah, we watched
Really?
the last two seasons, and it's just like that garbage trash
Yeah.
drama, right? But like it's so entertaining,
Yeah.
and it is funny genuinely seeing some of these people who go on there
Yeah.
because they're such characters, and you're like, you
Are
know,
you a real person? Like,
Yeah,
are
yeah.
you real?
and then you like have the people on TikTok who go down the rabbit holes of like learning who these people actually are
Yeah.
and finding their like personal Facebook profiles. Like this one guy, he was like in a relationship before he went onto the show,
Yeah.
and then like the girl that he was with in a relationship with before the show, she leaked all their text messages after the season came out and was like,
Yeah.
look, this is what he was sending me like after the show, before the show.
Really?
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, it's like now the internet and TikTok is just another like dynamic that you have to take into account when you're watching these shows and
Yeah.
like going onto these shows. Even like that guy just got totally humiliated and screwed. But it's like, I mean, he was I guess screwing with the people in the show anyways.
Yeah.
Carl and I like got him, but
People love watching shows like that, though.
it is yeah. I mean, I didn't.
It's like mind numbing
Mhm.
in a sense, and it causes you to like disconnect from like real, like what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like that used to be like me with like Real Housewives and like Vanderpump Rules. Like I still love those shows. I would
Yeah.
definitely still watch them. I just like don't have the capacity to now. But I used to love it like before bed watching like an hour or two of like trash.
Yeah.
Like, are these people real? Like
Yeah.
how is this real life or
Mhm.
whatever? I don't know. It's like entertainment.
It is just entertainment, yeah, and it almost like makes you feel a little bit like the concept of just like sitting on the couch like talking shit about other people
Totally.
and like in
Yeah.
reality you got your own shit going on, but
Yeah.
it's like doesn't matter because I'm paying attention to how shitty their lives are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like these people are so crazy.
Makes you
Like,
feel
what
better.
they're doing, 100%.
yeah. It's kind of like the like I've heard again on my popular, it's like yeah, that kind of TV is kind of like the fast food
Yeah.
of like television, right? It's like you're not gaining anything from it, but it's like it makes you feel good in the moment. It's just like just mindless entertainment.
Yeah. That's like a disconnect from like reality though. I don't know. That was like one of my points that I was gonna talk about was like your take on people overeating like at night.
Mm-hmm.
So like it kind of segues into it. Because this is one thing that I talk about with my clients a lot is just people are so like busy in our day-to-day life now. It's like grinding and hustling and being stressed out and doing like as much on your
Yeah.
plate possible is like a flex.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's like that's how you should be living your life. It's like in chaos.
Yeah.
And then that's, in my opinion, why people struggle because they don't prioritize themselves or their needs throughout the day because they're driving their kids here or they're working and doing this or they're like on their phones, like always just being so busy, like on to the next thing, thinking that they have to push for more. And then nighttime hits and they're just like so exhausted, like
Mhm.
mentally, physically, emotionally, that they need an outlet, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody needs an outlet of something.
Yeah.
So like, trash TV for some
Yeah.
people, or like going to the fridge or the pantry and just like eating food because it's like it causes their mind to like forget about everything else that's going on in life
Yeah.
and like focus on something else for a second.
Yeah. No, it really is just like that feel good dopamine hit that you get. Like you said, like I feel like now more than ever, everyone is so stressed and busy and anxious and like fast food and just like that comfort food at night just makes you feel good. It's like comfortable. Even like last night, like having the cake, having some burgers and hot dogs, like it tastes so good, especially after like a long day.
Yeah.
Like, like I don't know, like I can't relate to like obviously parents, but like I can imagine like how stressed out they probably are,
Yeah.
and like how easy it would be to just like grab a tub of ice cream out of the freezer, once the kids go down and they're like just trying to relax.
Or even like a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
Like the whole like wine mom culture is so
Yeah.
big now, where it's like normalized for moms to be like, oh, I can't wait till my kids go to bed so that I
can drink
pour a
wine,
glass of wine. Or like dads like having a beer or having a
Mhm.
drink or whatever. Because everybody needs that outlet. Like it's not sustainable for us to be like go, 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 like high stress, have our bodies in like these heightened states for prolonged periods of time. So food becomes such like a coping mechanism for people, but like it's a band-aid fix. Like it never actually helps them through like whatever's going on in their day-to-day life. And it becomes so like comforting for people to eat, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like, again, I'm referencing mine all the time, but they talk about like, like the example of like you're banging your head against the wall and then you're given pain medication to help with the pain. Well, it's like, just stop hitting your head on the wall. And it's kind of the same idea. It's like people like use fast food to kind of like cope with the stress and cope with like the anxiety. But it's like, well, that's just, it feels better in the moment, but then you're not actually going to the root issue of what's actually happening. It was causing you the stress and what's causing the anxiety. It's like, well, when you spend a little less time on your phone, you wouldn't feel so anxious. Or if you like schedule or just as simple as like planning your day a little bit better, goes so long, go so far for someone's like stress levels.
Yeah.
And like again, like life isn't going to go according to plan every single day, but you're better off having some sort of a plan, having some sort of schedule that you can try to go off of to alleviate some of that stress.
Yeah.
Something I was telling a lot of my clients the past couple of weeks was that you just want to put yourself in a position where you have the highest chance of succeeding. And
they leave no room for error.
Yeah, and like small margin of error, right? Like it's not going to be perfect, but like leave tiny margins of error in your day so that you just can't screw up. Like you're putting yourself in a position where it's like it's going to be hard to screw up, right? And it's as simple as like planning your nutrition, scheduling your workout, getting a walk in. Like it's little things like that do put you in those better off positions.
Yeah. Eating enough throughout the day is like so important.
Yeah, drinking enough water.
So many people, they just like wake up and it's like coffee, and then like maybe they like buy something at like takeout or fast food for lunch, and then they wonder why they eat everything at nighttime. And it's like, because you literally didn't eat anything all day. It's not even like mentally your body wants to, because it feels restricted, your brain or whatever. It's literally your body is like screaming like, I'm so hungry, I like need to eat right now. And so I think I like totally agree, like having a plan in place, like the work that you put in, getting your meal prep done, like scheduling out when you get your workouts in, like maybe waking up like an hour or two earlier if you can get to bed at a reasonable time, like you set your future self up for success. And like if you're not willing to put that work in ahead of time, then like don't be surprised when you're left scrambling or when you're left like not prioritizing yourself, because it does require like that planning and that preparation. But like one thing that I've learned as a parent is like having the ability to adjust and like pivot and adapt, right?
Yeah.
Because you can become too rigid and too scheduled. Where like if one thing goes wrong, like you can't get your workout in, or like your kid woke up really early so you can't wake up early to like get your meal prep done, or like whatever it is, then you're just like freak out.
Yeah.
I can't do anything. I used to be like that.
I used to be like that.
Did you?
Yeah. I feel like I still am a little bit. Like even this morning, like bringing my car in before coming here, I'm like, these motherfuckers said it was gonna be like, and now I'm like, God, I'm gonna be late. Now it's gonna push my workout back, and like, but I'm like trying to like catch myself in the moment. Like, okay, like it's really not a big deal. I know it's not a big deal. I'm just working myself up. And I'm like getting in my own head.
That's like me every day, I swear.
Yeah.
Because like I wake up and I'm like, okay, I need to like for myself, I need to like get a walk in. I need to get a workout in. And then I need to work. Like that's important. And then making time, like obviously I'm hanging out with the girls all day, depending on what's going on, depending what Chris has going on. So it's like sometimes if I have to keep pushing things till later in the day, I find like my anxiety is just like going higher, higher, higher. I'm like, okay, like it's 3 o'clock and like I haven't done anything today or whatever, but like you just figure out how to manage it. And like you said, like the more experience you have, you can kind of talk yourself down a little bit
Yeah.
instead of thinking like the whole world is gonna crumble.
Yeah.
Like if I miss my walk, if I miss my workout, like that's okay.
Yeah.
It'll happen the next day or whatever.
Yeah. And just having that awareness to be like, all right, I'm doing it again. Like I'm freaking out for no reason.
Yeah.
Right. Just being able to like call yourself out, I think is super important. But it takes practice. It takes like, like true like awareness of being like, why do I think like this? Or why am I reacting this way?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say something. Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say, I feel like a lot of my clients, I don't know if you have this too, but like a lot of my clients feel like they need to be like 100% all the time because they're in the program, right? It's like you can either do like the 4 month program or the 1 year. And I find that a lot of the clients that are in the 4 months, they're like I feel guilty for not being 100% on point, on track. And it's like, I get it, but like it almost like works against us sometimes because I'm like 4 months. It's like it is a good amount of time, but it's not at the same time. Like it's like it's really not.
Yeah.
So sometimes it kind of works against us, and I'm like trying to like talk to clients and be like, look, like yes, you only have a certain amount of time in the program.
Yeah.
But it's like when you think long term, like you're going to travel, you're going to get sick. There's going to be things that are going to like throw you off, and it's like you just have to be okay with like not necessarily being all the time like on point, because that's not how life is.
Totally.
And it's like I need to like create new like expectations for them.
Yeah.
Because it's like they sign up and they're motivated and they're like, I'm gonna do 100%, and then one little road off and they like, kind of freak out, self-sabotage a bit.
Yeah. Well, especially if people have done like quick fixes or fad diets or like challenge programs or whatever in the past, 16 weeks actually feels like a pretty long time.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
because
fair.
they're like
Used to like 2 months.
Yeah.
1 month.
Yeah, they're like, well, 16 weeks is like a long time. But then once they actually commit to it, then of course they have that expectation, like I need to be 100% perfect with it. But like you said, like life isn't perfect. And I think like that's one thing that's like huge with our coaching is like learning to navigate like holidays, learning how to navigate trips, learning how to navigate sickness, or if like a loved one has like death or sickness or something like that. Like that's really where you're able to build like a strong skill set to actually be successful long term, because anybody can do a program for like a couple of months and be like 100% on point.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
like I mean, take a look at like a competition prep, for example. People are dialed in to it for like a period of time, right? But like it's not sustainable long term to be like that 100%. And I think that building like the understanding of how to actually live like a balanced lifestyle, like learning what that looks like for you is super important. And I think that like when we're actually able to get through to our clients and explain to them like we don't need perfection, you just need to be consistent.
Yeah.
That's when clients actually like extend and work with us for longer, because we're able to help them through like all the different seasons and all the different phases. And like your health and industry is also going to change, right? Like if you have kids or like whatever else you have going on, like it's not going to look the same, exact same as it did a couple of years ago or whatever. So like teaching them how to navigate that to not be perfect, because I think the all or nothing mentality can be like equally as detrimental as doing nothing at all.
Yeah,
Honestly.
that's true. Yeah, because if you're not 100, then you're zero, right? Like that's the detriment to it. I find that I have a couple clients who are like, and I've told them this in their check-ins, I'm like, you're literally in like a perfect place. Like they've extended their programs. It's been like a year or two now, but it's like they were pretty like dialed in for the first little bit. And now that they're like a year or two in, they're like training hard. They've built a lot of muscle. They're like relatively lean, but then they're still like hanging out with friends on the weekend. Like they're like, my one client, she's in Greece right now. And she's like, like she's sharing me the good food she's eating. She's at the gym. She's drinking. But I'm like, you got to this place because you were like super consistent at the beginning,
Yeah.
and now you've reached this place where it's like you built strength, you built muscle, you're in this place now where you can like enjoy these foods and alcohol, and it's not going to take like a huge toll on you, right? Because you've been so consistent and resilient, you've built such a solid foundation, that like you're in this perfect place right now, right? Where like these things don't throw you off anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas before, it's like you weren't consistent, and then if you go and have like even a couple glasses of wine, you like people say it like sticks to them, like they feel it. Yeah.
Well, that's like, I don't know. I think that's such a big win, like as a coach too, to have a client be able to go on like a trip or something and feel confident.
Yeah.
You know, like still implementing healthy habits or routines, like maybe getting a couple workouts in, hitting steps, staying hydrated. Maybe they brought like some protein bars or protein powder, but it's like they don't feel like they need to bring every single meal.
Yeah.
They don't feel that anxiety of going into the trip, but they also don't feel restricted or deprived to where they go into the trip and they just like eat and drink everything and like throw everything out the window. Like that's moderation. That's like practicing moderation and mindfulness, which is like the best feeling as a coach. And then like my favorite thing is when like I have a client who's away or whatever and they're like, I'm having a good time, like, you know, exploring, like trying new food and whatever. Like, but like I can't wait to come home and like get back to my routine. And it's not this big thing like, oh, like I have to force myself to get back to my routine, back to like the daily grind or whatever. They genuinely like look forward to it because like they love the food they're eating. They love their exercise and how it makes them feel. And they haven't completely like lost their habits and routines while they're away from home either.
Yeah.
So
that is a good feeling. Yeah. Because then it's like, because then I can relate to them so much more. Because I'm like, when I'm away, I love getting back home and getting back into my routine.
Yeah.
Like it's such a good, I don't know, you just kind of feel like a organized adult. You know, you just kind of feel put together, you know, when you have a routine or when you're exercising and like, you know, all cylinders are firing in your life, you just kind of feel like you're like, all right, I got my shit together.
And like the confidence through that goes into like everything else.
Yeah,
too.
seriously. Yeah. It builds a lot of confidence. I think that's what most people, I think everyone knows how to get in shape and how to get fit. But it's like not everyone has like the confidence to like actually take action or like to do something about it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Like I think most people understand it. Most people get it. It's the same thing with like money. It's like you get it. Like you know how to save money. You just don't spend don't spend more than you're making. It's everyone knows that. But it's like again, like people don't have like the confidence in themselves to not, you know, buy the latest thing, to like try to make themselves feel better than you know, their friend or whatever.
100%. Okay, so I was gonna talk, or just get us to talk a little bit about like our personal goals right now.
Okay.
Because I think, like, I don't know, for me anyways, my health and fitness routine now is like so integrated. It's just part of my day that like to me it seems boring.
Really?
Do you ever feel that way? Like sharing meals or sharing what I do or like my mindset? Like, I don't know if it's just because I've been sharing it for so long that now I'm like, people don't want to see me drink my water or people don't want to see me like, I don't know, like this meal that I made. So to me, it just seems so second nature. So I found that like over the years, I've shared my journey kind of like less and less because I'm like, who cares?
Who
Like I
cares?
do the same thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think sometimes people like to hear, especially us like as coaches, just like where we're at and what our current goals are and kind of like how we're feeling in our health and fitness journey.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I feel that. It's kind of like I do feel the same. Like I don't share as much. Like this last prep I did, like I didn't share that much. Whereas my first one, I was like, this is what I'm eating. This is what I weighed this morning. This is, you know, but like I shared everything.
Because it's more exciting.
It's more exciting because it was more exciting for us. And now, again, like you said, it's just like, yeah, I guess maybe it is just like a little bit more like boring to us because it's not new to us anymore. But like other people who are like invested or watching, you know, appreciate seeing those kinds of things. Yeah, like I probably should post more about like well, like meals and stuff like that. Like I literally eat the same thing every single day. So
You posted your yogurt bowl, and I'm like, that looks good. You never share your meals.
Everyone was hyping me up because of that yogurt bowl. I was like, yeah. Everyone wants to see the yogurt bowl. Okay, sweet.
Because I posted one the other day, and I had 5 people be like, what kind of muesli?
Yeah.
And I'm like, chatting with them about like the different kinds of like granola.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's what I like doing, is like talking to people in DMs and like
Yeah.
connecting with people. Like it's really fun for me, and like
Yeah.
I have good conversation.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dang, like I need to do stuff.
I know, yeah. Like I think I had a couple people ask me about like, why did you eat so much jam and salt backstage? I'm like, oh, like learning opportunity. Like
Yeah.
this is why. Or it's like a couple people being like, why weren't you drinking the monsters? Like they're 0 calorie.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, cool. Like water retention. Like you want like kind of water retention, whatever. I'm like, these are the things people want to like see, I guess. But I'm like, yeah, it's so simple to us. It's like we just do that.
Yeah.
So like we don't think twice.
Yeah.
But like the other people, they're like curious and they're like wanting to understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally see what you mean. Like it feels kind of like boring
Just like
to
mundane.
us. Yeah, because it's just like that's just what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think now it'll be a little bit more exciting for me because I'm taking on this whole like running thing. So I think I'll be a little bit more excited to share that kind of stuff. And yeah, again, I had a lot of people like talking to me about like running, like other people who follow me who are running and like trying to like reach these running goals and stuff. So it's kind of cool, like, you know, like almost like connecting with like another part of my following
Yeah.
who do something else, like not so much the bodybuilding.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool too. And I think I will share a lot of that stuff. And then, yeah, just the nutrition. I'm going to be a lot more flexible with nutrition. So I think naturally I'm just going to want to share more because it's not the same chicken and rice every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you so you're running?
Yeah.
That's one of your main goals right now.
And
And then I think that like hybrid training is kind of trending right now.
it is trendy. Yeah.
So there's a lot of talk on like social media and just like the pages that I follow of like how to actually combine strength training goals with running goals. So what's your take on how people should approach it if they want to?
Yeah. So I'm still learning. Like I've been watching a lot of like Nick Bear content. This other guy I found I really like, named Fergus Crowley or something like that. But yeah, I just like been following other hybrid athletes. And what I've found is that like there's so many different avenues of this hybrid stuff. Whether it's like if you're running seems to be like the part of hybrid.
Yeah.
It's like short distances, long distances, or if you're cycling or swimming. It's like there's so many different avenues you can go down the cardiovascular component of hybrid. And then with like the lifting and strength training, it's like there's guys who are like power lifters but are running marathons.
Yeah, I
Which
find
are
it crazy.
two opposite ends of the spectrum, right? And I think that's kind of what I'm like kind of like leaning towards. Oh, that would be really impressive.
Yeah.
But then there's guys like Nick Bear. He does like like the marathon stuff, but then he's also like a bodybuilder type looking guy. Like he's done a competition. So there's so many different avenues you can go down. But I think from the content that I've watched, I think the most important thing is just like staying on top of your recovery because this is like a lot on your body. So like recovery, stress, and then your nutrition, right? Like no matter what you're doing in any sort of physical pursuit, like your nutrition is going to be like the number one reason why you succeed or fail. So the two common things that I've noticed is like, your recovery because of the amount of stress you're putting on your body and nutrition.
I think the biggest thing is like, well, I don't know, this is just my take, but I don't think that you should be pursuing fat loss if you're hybrid training.
No.
If you're performance based.
No.
Like I think those are what do you always want with a triangle?
Oh, the fitness triangle. Yeah. So you have your triangle and you have performance in one, you have longevity in the other, and then you have aesthetics. So if you're constantly trying to, you can go in one direction and be like 100% in one direction, but the other two, you're going to, see detrimental effects. Or you can go in the other direction and be like all performance based and be great at performing, but your aesthetics and your longevity is going to suffer. So it's like, you can be right in the middle, but you're going to be like kind of mediocre in all of them. Or you can like lean closer into one and so on and so forth. But it's like, they're just really competing goals.
That's what I think is like so important. Like if you have a goal of performance and wanting to like improve your runs, for example, like you can't be under eating.
No.
You can't be eating in a caloric deficit and expect your performance to improve.
Yeah.
It's like crazy. It's like not putting gas in a car and then expecting it to like take you
go,
to your
yeah.
destination and like perform well. Like it's
Yeah.
just not gonna happen. But I also think like what a lot of people don't realize is that if you ate according to your activity level, if you matched your output, right, with how much you're eating, so like eating at around maintenance, your body would actually look way better.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
you know, obviously it's dependent on like body composition as well and like where you're at. But if you're within like a healthy range for body fat and you want to hybrid train and you're strength training and running, for example, and eating enough, your body is gonna actually look really good.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you were gonna try doing that but you're eating a caloric deficit, like your recovery is gonna be impacted, like your performance isn't going to improve. And what people don't realize is like that impacts everything. Like your stress will be higher, your hormones could be disrupted, your sleep could be worse. So like you're gonna cause a slew of issues just because you think you need to lose like 5 or 10 pounds.
Yeah. Well, like
Everything.
you're literally working against your body,
Yeah.
right? Like you said, if you're eating around maintenance and you're doing all this stuff, like you're working with your body, right? Rather than trying to like fight against it. Because I mean, like again, like even me, like I would love to do it all. Like I would love to like be able to run a marathon, have like a crazy strength, and be able to like have like a great like sprinting time or whatever, right? Like I would love to do that, and some people can achieve that stuff, but it's like those people that do that are like 100% dialed into all their shit, and they're like again small margin of error, and then on top of all that, they're like genetic freaks. So it's like you can't like compare yourself. Like again, more than likely you're